We're looking at the famous Dutch kit today. We'll see how it fares in competition with the other kits on our site and how to begin the cultivation process. Dutch kits, although not as flashy as the inject and forget bags, are one of the best starter kits to go for if you're just starting out. These kits were incredibly popular prior to the inject and forget bags release. We still enjoy growing our own health mushrooms from Dutch kits, and today we'll show you why. Our Dutch kits are full of quality substrate, packed tightly into a tub, wrapped up in a bag, surrounded with vermiculite, and fully sterilised using one of our trusty pressure cookers. They also come with a glove pack to ensure your process is as sterile as can be. We would not typically recommend doing this entire process on the floor, but as I'm away from the lab at the moment and I have nowhere else to do this process, this will have to do. Thankfully, I have a handy pack right here to help keep contamination away from my project. Wondering what the neon stick is? That's one of our famous Easy Glide bag sealers. It helps keep your project free from contamination in between harvests. Now I've unboxed the Dutch kit, let's get into this polyfill patient pack. This holds our gloves as well as a few handy things to ensure your project goes smoothly. I've made sure to do this prior to opening the Dutch kit, as whilst it's closed, it still remains fully sterile. You want to remove anything that you don't require and don your very fashionable blue nitrile exam gloves. As I struggle to put my gloves on, let me tell you why we would recommend not doing this on the floor. On the floor, dust and particles settle so that contamination is much more likely. For spores, I've gone with lion's mane, as I think they'll do better in a Dutch kit than an inject and forget bag. So let's see if I'm right. I've given them a little tap on the side to shake loose any spores, and I'm just getting the needle ready. I'm unscrewing the end cap. I'm just going to slot that in now, and then it should be ready. I'm going to keep the plastic protective layer on the needle just to prevent any contamination. Now everything is ready, we can finally open the bag and get into our Dutch kit. So you want to remove the Easy Glide bag sealer, just like that, and then you want to go in with your hands. Preferably not wearing a hoodie, because now that has passed on any potential contamination that was on that hoodie into the bag. That is a mistake, and I hope you learn from my own mistakes. So you pull out the bag, I've put it down on that protective sheet on the floor. I've got my syringe, I'm about to take the syringe cap off. I'm just giving it a second, another little bash, and then I'm going to insert an equal amount of spores in every single injection port. I messed up again. I wanted to look very smooth for the camera, so you guys could see what I was doing, and in doing so I didn't really pay attention to the amount of spores I was inoculating at one time. But you ideally want to do an equal amount of spores, so it's a 20 ml syringe equally divided, which is about just under 3 ml, but unfortunately I had 10 ml left for the last two ports, so it is a bit heavy on that end, but this shouldn't affect the project itself. I just need to make sure that I turn this correctly. Now, the next step for this project is mixing it. Unlike a bag, you can't scrunch it up. So with a Dutch kit, it takes a bit more patience. For about 5 to 10 minutes, you want to simply rotate it in all sorts of directions, just so you can get that spore solution you can see at the bottom throughout that substrate. If it's too heavy in one end and has a bit too much spore solution, the mycelium will overtake that corner, but then you have other parts of the substrate which will unfortunately take a bit longer because you can't remix it like a bag. So you want to make sure that is fully mixed. So there we are, I've put it down, I've fully mixed it. It was 5 to 10 minutes. I did just speed it up for you, and then I've put it back in the bag with the vermiculite. Some people ask whether we should keep it in the bag or take it out. I personally like to put it in the bag just to keep the humidity up, because it does form a sort of humidity tent. And then there I am sealing it with the bag sealer. They can be a bit finicky when you're wearing gloves, but I assure you they are quite easy to use once you get the hang of it. I'm folding the top of the bag down because I'm going to squash this into my 40 litre grow chamber. We generally recommend putting these in 60 litres only, but due to my space constraints, I will have to squeeze this in here. I'm then sanitising the area with 70% alcohol solution. We recommend doing this when your kit is not within the vicinity, as it can damage the kit. And then I'm going to secure my temperature probe with some electrical tape just to the middle of the heat mat, not the transparent bit, because that doesn't actually conduct heat itself, but the black bit, so all the temperature readings are accurate. We do recommend letting the space air out a bit, just so that any residue alcohol doesn't interfere with your kit, as just like bacteria, mycelium absolutely hates alcohol, and it can damage the integrity of things like the air filter, which can allow for contamination to find its way in your project, and we don't want anything going wrong here for you. Please ignore this step if you are growing a mushroom that needs to be between 26 to 27 degrees, as you only need to down the temperature if you're doing something that lives in cooler habitats naturally. So as I got lion's mane, mine needs to be between 22 and 23 degrees, so I'm just working with my grow chamber and I'm finding that nice little medium. So for the left arrow I need it to be 22, and for the right arrow I need it to be 23. We also have another setting that we recommend you check, and that's where you push both of the arrows down at the same time and it should come up with 0. Once something's set, it will flash. It is quite a straightforward thing to do. I'm just very, very good at mucking things up. So there we are, I've changed them. I'm holding down, checking their settings, all is good. And now it's time to put the Dutch kit in and pack it away somewhere nice and dark for about 2 to 3 weeks to allow it to fully cultivate. Meantime, do not check in it too often because you will interrupt the process. I will update you soon with the next instalment.